and United States at the current moment support for Israel so strong?
Look, Israel, if there weren't an Israel, every Jew in the world would be at risk. Every Jew in the world would be at risk. And so there's a need for it to be strong, and a need for Israel to be able to have, after World War II, the ability for Jews to have a place that was their own. You don't have to be a Jew to be a Zionist. And the Zionist is about whether or not Israel is a safe haven for Jews because of their history of how they've been persecuted.
Are you a Zionist?
Yes.
Of the Palestinian people. They deserve a far better. They deserve the chance to achieve their extraordinary Palestinian people. They deserve a far better life. They deserve the chance to achieve their extraordinary potential. Palestinians have been trapped in a cycle of terrorism, poverty, and violence, exploited by those seeking to use them as pawns to advance terrorism and extremism.
I grew up always on the bigger side as a kid. I was always slightly thicker.
Thank you. Moving on to the Middle East. In October, Hamas attacked Israel, killing more than 1,000 people and taking hundreds of hostages. Among those held and thought to still be alive are 5 Americans. Israel's response has killed thousands of Palestinians and created a humanitarian crisis in Gaza. President Biden, you've put forward a proposal to resolve this conflict, but so far Hamas has not released the remaining hostages, and Israel is continuing its military offensive in Gaza. So what additional leverage will you use to get Hamas and Israel to end the war? You have 2 minutes.
Number one, everyone from the United Nations Security Council straight through to the G7 to the Israelis and Netanyahu himself have endorsed the plan I put forward. Which has 3 stages to it. The first stage is trade the hostages for a ceasefire. Second phase is a ceasefire with additional conditions. The third phase is the end of the war. The only one who wants the war to continue is Hamas, number one. They're the only ones standing out. We're still pushing hard to get them to accept. In the meantime, what's happened? In Israel, we're finding that the only thing I've denied Israel was 2,000-pound bombs. They don't work very well in populated areas. They kill a lot of innocent people. We're providing Israel with all the weapons they need and when they need them. And by the way, I'm the guy that organized the world against Iran when they had a full-blown intercontinental ballistic missile attack on Israel. No one was hurt. No one Israeli was accidentally killed, and it just stopped. We saved Israel. We are the biggest producer of support for Israel of anyone in the world. And so there are 2 different things. Hamas cannot be allowed to be continued. We continue to send our experts and our intelligence people as to how they can get Hamas like we did bin Laden. You don't have to do it. And by the way, they've been greatly weakened, Hamas, greatly weakened, and they should be. They should be eliminated. But you've got to be careful for using certain weapons among population centers.
Just going back to Ukraine for 1 second. We have an ocean separating us. The European nations together have spent $100 billion, or maybe more than that, less than us. Why doesn't he call them and say, you got to put up your money like I did with NATO? I got them to put up hundreds of billions of dollars. The Secretary General of NATO said Trump did the most incredible job I've ever seen. They wouldn't have any. They were going out of business. We were spending almost 100% of the money was paid by us. He didn't do that. He's getting you got to ask these people to put up the money. We're over $100 billion more. Actually, Israel is the one, and you should let him go and let him finish the job. He doesn't want to do it. He's become like a Palestinian, but they don't like him because he's a very bad Palestinian. He's a weak one.
President Biden, you have a minute.
I've never heard so much foolishness.
Actually, Israel is the one.
Any of these other countries, and you're gay, for example, you can be killed for that. Israel is the only place where you have freedom. If you're transvestite, if you have other kind of dissonant views, you'd much rather be in Israel than any other place.
I get that argument, but go ahead. You can finish. All right, well, I just wanted to ask you.
No, Israel, And we need to have the same standard for judging Israel as we judge other Arab countries. We should, and Israel is going into the West Bank and killing children. Is never doing that deliberately, never. And nobody has ever said it is.
Well, a lot of people have said it is.
If you recall, RFK Jr. found himself in hot water after he first applauded the former Pink Floyd bassist.
Just answer the question.
Okay, check. Yep.
You got genocide taking place. You got IDF terrorism taking place. You can't say a mumbling word about 12 universities that have been leveled to the ground. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of professors have been killed. Students have been killed. You're a journalist.
Yes.
Have you talked about the 112 journalists who have been killed, brother?
Yes, I have done.
You just spread lies.
Well, hang on. Well, Cornell, I actually... Cornell, hang on. Cornell.
You're unfair.
Cornell.
And then you just start lying. You start lying, man. It's ridiculous.
Cornell,
man.
I'm not lying about anything.
No, you are. I agree with Cornell West completely. You're totally, utterly lying through your framing. The framing of this is
sorry.
Okay.
Look, I can't hear you both speak at the same time. Cornell, just to be clear, I have posted... Sorry, hang on.
Please.
Hang on. I have posted about the journalists who've died in Gaza, right? I have posted about this. I have highlighted the deaths of those journalists, right?
Put it in the framework.
Well, I'm going to. I was going to come to you about the framework.
No, you're not. All the vandalism about one hall, and you hardly can say a mumbling word about universities, libraries gone completely, schoolrooms gone completely. You see how truncated and narrow your framework is? You're just lying, man. You ought to be ashamed of yourself.
Okay. When you say lying, what you're trying to imply that I don't care about the other stuff you've just mentioned.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
That's not a lie.
That's definitely right.
Yeah,
not have the same value as an Israeli life. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, let me bring in Cheng. You cannot be happy as a professor there that Jewish students are being harassed and intimidated because people are critical of what an Israel government's doing thousands of miles away. That is my point.
Of course. That goes without saying. I try to be a decent person in my life.
So you agree with me? After that diatribe, you agree with me?
All you want to talk about is protection of Jews.
It's not all I want to talk about, Cornell. But that is actually what this debate is about.
Organizations that are banded back in October. Did you say a word about that? When you got massive children at universities and hospitals completely leveled, and you have something on your Twitter rather than make that part of the framing of the issue, then in fact you become an extension of propaganda. And that
Jill Stein is being arrested at a pro-Palestinian protest.
Y'all gotta go back.